Every day this gets worse, and the government simply cannot find an answer to the problem.
They don't seem to be able to institute the answer, but they know what the answer is. They know what the answer is. That's why I'm so fed up with this government on this, which just talks and occasionally releases news stories to friendly media, announcing things that they then don't do. We've had this ever since the Boris Johnson government came in. They do what the last Labour government did. They talk tough about this issue, and they do almost nothing. I'm afraid it's exactly what we had in the latter stages of the Blair government and during the Brown government. Exactly what we have. They go out there, they say, we're going to be tough on illegal migration. Tough on illegal migration does not mean allowing thousands of people to be arriving in every week illegally. And that's what this government is doing, just as every government in recent decades has allowed. There are answers. I've written about them. I've laid them out countless times. So have many other people. Boris Johnson and Priti Patel know what the answers are. They just decide they don't have the political will to institute them. It really is that straightforward. What are the answers? Yes, one of them is offshoring, making sure that people who set out across the Channel are, if they are stopped by British border forces, taken away from British territory to some other place. Now, what maniac, abnormal, appalling, dictatorial country does something very similar? Australia. Yeah. Australia is a perfectly civilized country, I'm sure you'll...
And Douglas, it brought them down to a big fat zero. Zero now, exactly. As soon as they went to offshore processing.
Australia did that. Australia did that, and we can't. Here's another idea. How about just making sure that you make it clear that your country is simply not going to welcome people breaking into its territory illegally? How about making sure that's the case? You give off that message. What kind of dictatorial, fascistic, backwater country we'd never want to have any dealings with, Banana Republic, has done that? Denmark. Denmark. So why can't we do that? Because we choose not to. Here's the thing, Dan. These boats leave French beaches. We've been paying the French police to police their own beaches. There's a certain corner we could go into there, but let's just pass that over for the moment. The boats leave the French beaches and they set off into the Channel, paying smuggling networks of appalling criminals to help these people come into Britain. And what do British border forces do? They help meet them halfway, which is exactly what happened in 2015 with the migration crisis in the Mediterranean. They meet them halfway, ferry them to Britain. And how many of those people are going to be returned to their countries of origin? Zero. So what our country has at the moment is this. And I've said this for so many years, and they never act on it. We've got a situation where, yes, we have a process which people can apply for to legally gain asylum. But what's the point of doing that? That takes a long time. That means you've got to prove your background. That means you've got to do all sorts of effort. So we have a parallel system that the Conservative government has allowed, which is that you can also pay a network thousands of pounds, a smuggling network of criminals, to get you a bit out into the Channel. Then the British Border Force, which is a part of the smuggling network effectively now, does the official bit, picks them up, brings them to Britain. And here's the calculation of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. His calculation is that the numbers, even at more than 1,000 a day, are too small to bother the British public. He thinks that the trickle is too small for us to bother about, and he's hoping beyond hope that we're distracted by other things and we don't notice it. But here's the thing. Every single one of those people who comes in is, at best, I mean, we don't even know their asylum status. We don't even know where they're from. At best, it is going to take them years and years of work to even begin to repay the costs that they will have already cost to the British taxpayer. So let me just finish this point by saying this. I understand why people want to come to Britain. Goodness knows there are enough benighted countries in the world, and goodness knows I've been to enough of them and seen them up close. I understand why people want to come to Britain. What I cannot understand is what Britain gains from thousands of people whose identities it does not know entering our shores illegally. We don't know who's in our country.
And Douglas, we saw the consequence this week, and it could have been very, very deadly if things had just been a little bit different in Liverpool, because Imad al-Swalmin, who was able to enter this country and stay here for 7 years because he appealed his deportation order, blew himself up at the Liverpool Women's Hospital, tried to kill hundreds of us. And it also shows why the asylum system is completely broken, because this was someone who came in, even though he's from Jordan, said he was from Iraq or Syria. We pay him to stay in a hostel in Liverpool. He uses the money that he earns from his job as a pizza chef to go and set up a bomb factory down the road, and hundreds of people could have been killed. And I think the two issues are intrinsic.
So here's of course, here's the qualification, the necessary qualification we always have to put. Most people who arrive are not going to become suicide.
Of course, but you only need one.
However,
Douglas,
you don't know who's arriving, and you don't know where they're. Well, no, and we don't only have one. Look at just recent years alone. Look at the attackers in London Bridge in 2017. 2 out of the 3 attackers who slashed at women's throats and said this is for Allah had no right to be in the UK, as far as I can go. I wrote at the time, why were they here? Still haven't been answered by any politician or anyone else. They all talked about Facebook. They all talked about online harm. What was the killer of David Amis doing in the country? The alleged killer of David Amis doing in the country? We'll have to find out. Why was he here? Why was the Parsons Green bomber here? The person who left a bomb on a London District Tube Underground train at Parsons Green. What was he doing here? He had no right to be here. He'd broken in. What was it? What was the point of the Manchester Arena bombers' family being here? They came to this country. They shouldn't have been here. Then there are all of the cases that we don't even follow up. Take the case of Hatun Tash, a young Christian evangelist stabbed in the throat repeatedly at Hyde Park Corner in July, left almost for dead, managed to survive just about. Her killer's still on the loose. The British authorities have no idea who that was, who stabbed a Christian preacher, have no idea who that was still. That person's still on the loose. The fact is, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. If you don't know who's in the country, you don't have any security. On and on it goes. And if Boris Johnson doesn't care, he shouldn't be in the position of pretending he does.